My personal productivity exploded when I embraced this. This, I think, is the best productivity hack there is. It does require just a little bit of discipline, self-discipline, but I love it. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to today's edition of Dream Firm Spotlight. My name is Tyler S. Clark, where we create generational wealth and impact for entrepreneurial accountants through my wonderful company, Dream Firms. To help you do that, I'd like to cover with you my time-saving checklist for tax season. Yes, your time is at an incredible premium during your busiest time of year, and we got to protect that resource. And so I'm going to walk you through 19 different ways that you can save time, whether it's right now or be able to do so for next tax season. Number one is arguably the most important one. And for some reason, people look at this topic as they got like a little disdain for it. Sometimes the clients do, sometimes the accountants do. And I keep going, why do we treat extensions like they are the enemy? Extensions are your friend. And do you know when the April 15th tax deadline was created? A little bit of trivia. Anybody got a guess? Trying to think, when did that come out? 1954 is when it was created, okay? So your clients have had over 70 years to get used to this deadline. And what's crazy is during those 70 years, the population exploded, there's less tax professionals, and the tax code is more complex than it has ever been. Yet the date for filing taxes has remained the same for 70 years. This means we have to have an appreciation for extensions. There's really literally no logical reason why we would look at extensions as a negative. None whatsoever. So to kind of do my Oprah thing, you get an extension, you get an extension, everyone gets an extension. It's okay to give everyone extensions, especially new clients. When they come in and they got their sob story and they need their refund, I don't care. You're on an extension because you decided to wait and come to me during the busiest time of year. And even if they've been a client for years, it's okay that they're on an extension. Don't feel guilty about it. There's zero reason for there to be any guilt on this topic. Number two, if you cannot complete the return, do not start it. Too many times we start, we stop, we start, we stop. Where did I leave off on this? Did I get the resource or the document that I needed? Did they get me the figures that they promised they were going to get me? I'm going to check my email again. Oh, wait, is this a webinar I need to attend now that looks really interesting on how to save time? Please do not start a return unless you have the ability to complete it. Okay. And I'm going to get more into like how to do that later. It's a different one, but it's just a mental thing. It's like, if you can't complete it, don't start it. Number three, never give your cell phone number to a client. And if you have, change your cell phone number. Like I promised you, the fastest way to save time is to change your cell phone number so that people can't interrupt you when you're working. Okay. Like that's not only your family and your friends should be able to ping you when they need to. Okay. Number four, repeat after me, by appointment only. You don't get to just walk into the doctor's office and say, you got a minute? You can't even do that with the mechanic. The mechanic's like, I do not have a minute. I've got a wrench in my hand. No, I do not. You go make an appointment. What do you mean? Do I have? No, by appointment only. And I would make the case that this does not need to be just from January 1st to April 15th. I would make the case that this has to be around the clock, year round, by appointment only. And the way that you get to this is one, change your cell phone number. Two, train your staff that, I'm sorry, Michelle is busy. Michelle is always busy. Michelle will never be able to have the phone number passed to her. It will never, ever, ever, ever happen again. Period. Like she is always unavailable permanently. And so you just train them. You give them a nice script. Sorry, Michelle's unavailable. I might be able to help you. Can you explain to me what your problem is? And guess what? That means that the problem probably doesn't even end up on Michelle's desk because her team can handle more than 90% of all the problems that are coming up anyway. So again, your team is there to save you time. But if they just keep passing things to you with no filter, and the filter should be literally never pass it, it's going to eat up tons of your time. It's a complete waste. So again, very easy to stop. Never take a call, by appointment only, period, end of discussion, and arguably all year round. Number 5, one of the biggest times sucks that I see is people have meetings, but they don't have meetings inside of their workflow management tool. So you invest all this money into Carbon or all this time into building out a Trello or whatever software tool you've picked. And then you have a management meeting and you're just talking to each other and you're just like, yeah, I think this and I think that. And it's like, you should literally be running all of your meetings through whatever management tool you have, because that tells you nobody has to talk, nobody has to guess. Everyone can see what's been done, what's outstanding, what's on the docket, and then you can prioritize things appropriately or identify broken things in your process that are creating backlogs and gunks and address them immediately to gain significantly more efficiency. So I'll summarize this as, please, as the owner, live in your workflow management tool. If you as the owner do not embrace and live in it and literally guide people through it and show them that every single week you're looking and you're checking and you're analyzing and you're optimizing the process and the workflow, your team will abandon it and you will lose all of the time and money that you spent to try and gain those efficiencies. It's a complete waste. Number 6, imagine for a minute that we were in a factory and then the truck comes in, it backs up, right? And what it does is it just flips the back out and it just dumps everything on the floor of the factory. And we just start kind of like rifling through it and trying to figure out what we need. Right? We're like, I think we need this. You'd be like, no, we got to take this. We got to sort it. We got to put parts A over there. We got to put part B over here. We have to systemize the intake of the raw materials in order to increase the efficiency of the factory floor line, because this is crazy that it would take this much time to find the raw materials. It should be super, super fast. And so point number 6 is you got to systemize the intake of the documents and forms. So how the clients know what they need, how do the clients know what they need to send you? How do they know where to send it? Who is responsible for validating the information is in the right year, that it is the right format, and who is responsible for following up if it's not meeting those parameters, right? Who's going to actually say, hey, you sent us 2015, it's 2022 we need, call me crazy, right? I don't know how that happened, but you gotta get the right thing, okay? So I know those things are frustrating, but the only way to prevent them from being frustrating to you is you systemize the intake and you make sure that someone knows how to see it, how to make sure it's done correctly, and then how to follow up the right way with soft skills and not get angry and be like, how did you send me 2015? Don't you know what year it is? It's just like, hey, I think you might have sent me the wrong thing. Can you, oh, I can't believe I sent you 2015. That's so funny. I have 2022 right here. Exactly. Number 7, I'm going to do a little bit of math that's going to blow your mind, okay? Too many of you work too many hours. This is not a surprise from January 1st to April 15th. Everyone knows that the hours during this time of year are ridiculous. It leads to really bad health, mental health, burnout. I've covered that topic before, but I want to reiterate that it's not necessary. Extensions are your friend. That helps at least spread out the workload and gives you a little bit of breather. However, if you would like to be more efficient, and let's imagine that you are working 80 hours a week, which is crazy, but sometimes the norm. If you could work just 10% faster, you would save 8 hours a week. Okay, I'm going to say that again. If you could just improve your efficiencies by 10%, work 10% faster, not smarter, not just faster, you would save 8 hours a week. That would be 120 hours over the course of the entirety of tax season. If I could gift you 120 hours, do you think that, one, you would be able to be more productive in those 72 hours that you are working? Do you think you would maybe even be able to invest a little extra time to maybe go and get a client that more than offsets the cost associated with this efficiency gain, which is an upgrade in your hardware? I see people who are working on desktops that have Windows XP. Literally they can barely run Zoom. And I go, you're trying to run software on this, multiple software programs, which are oftentimes needed in the tax space at the same time. Like the efficiency gains are normally more than 10% with a hardware upgrade. So if it's been more than 3, 4, 5, definitely more than 5 years, you are all but guaranteed to get a 10% increase in the efficiency of your hardware. And don't forget that applies to your team too, not just the owner. Number 8, abide by the 2-minute rule. If you can do something in 2 minutes or less, then do it. If it is something that has come to you and it is a spam email and you just like, I'll click it, open it, and I'll just, unsubscribe 2 minutes or less. Oh, hey, I've got this thing I want to talk to you about. Here's my scheduling link. By appointment only, 2 minutes or less, right? Like, there are so many things that are 2 minutes or less, and we're like, I'll get back to them, or, maybe later, or I'll just kind of ignore it. Get rid of it or do it, right? It's just, if you can do it or get rid of it, please just do it. I promise you end up making decisions a lot faster from that as well, which is a huge character trait for successful entrepreneurs. Number 9, use technology to communicate faster, okay? And so I'm going to give a very specific example of this that is sometimes revolutionary for certain firms. And I say that because we take a lot of our expertise for granted, and it's important for you to even go back to the basics. And I say that to myself as much as I'm saying it to everyone here. Like, don't take for granted all the things that you know, because they're super valuable. You just have to make sure that you are breaking it down and keeping it simple. So when I say use technology to communicate faster, you can easily generate, as long as you're using a workflow management tool, who has outstanding requests for information to be able to successfully file their tax returns, right? Like, that is just all the people who basically don't have their tax returns done yet, or are not marked as ready to complete tax return, right? I mean, however you file it or mark it or tag it, there's a way for you to say, these people do not meet this parameter. Well, if you have the list, then all you need to do is take the list and upload it to any software that allows you to send a broadcast email. Most CRMs now do this anyway. And so you just go Carbon, right? Or whichever. I need you to send the email to all of the people that say, hey, we're missing vital documents. You can keep it vague, right? This is kind of the point. We're missing vital documents that are preventing us from being able to prepare your tax return. We've reached out to you several times. Please, when you see this, schedule a call immediately with our respective administrator to help you to get the things you need, or we need from you. Simple. But most firms will go one to one to one to one phone call, one. It's like you can just mass email super quick. And you can set those up as automations too. That's obviously a little more advanced, but same principle. Number 10, take breaks. Slow down to speed up. Your brain cannot stay at maximum productivity all day long. So please, you just completed that really hard tax return that had like 15 schedules attached to it. Take a break, go outside, eat a snack, take a walk, do a little bit of meditation, something that just lets you reset and recalm. And if you ever want more energy in the day, the best way to do it is to sleep more. Just period, right? Like, sleep is the primary precursor for energy. And so when you're feeling really down during tax season, make sure you're getting your 8 hours. Number 11, it is insane to me that accounting firms have billing problems. So number 11 is, please have no billing problems. And the way you have no billing problems is you collect 100% of the money in advance of doing any work. That's how you eliminate 100% of your billing problems. And that's how you save a ton of time, because first of all, if I bill anything less than 100%, I have to have the conversation again. I have to set the automation up. I have to send the reminders. I have to have the conversations about what's outstanding. I have to potentially haggle with you for some reason all of a sudden. Like, what? We can eliminate all of that with just a good process on the front end, which is no, pay me, the end. I can run out of fingers. Number 12, don't be afraid to say no to new projects and requests for your time. Okay. That BNI person that's always, hey, you got to come to BNI. The opportunity's finally here. No, it's tax season. I can't come, right? I'm not going to commit the time to this. Or even requests for your time as it relates to webinars, even things like this. I love you guys, right? Like, I love you. I'm glad you're here listening, but sometimes you got to be like, no, I got to get things done today. I love you, Tyler, but I'll see you later. And that's fine. You're not going to hurt my feelings. You're going to come back eventually when you do have the time. Don't be afraid to say no, especially to things that are going to take a lot of your time, but don't provide a great return. I wouldn't put myself in that category, but you get my point. Number 13, email eats more time than anything. And we have to make sure it eats as little time as possible. And so the best way to do this is to embrace the habit of unsubscribing from emails religiously. Like have it like a sacred belief around this is one of the most important things I can do to maintain the health of my business and my mental health is I got to unsubscribe from everything that I don't actually want to be a part of, that I do not even prioritize taking the time to read. Get rid of it. It's all clutter. The less clutter in your life, the more productive you will be, the more time you'll have, the more time you will save. Just to build on that point, 2 email addresses, one for spam, social media, demos for websites, right? Anything that you would be like, this is not a client, right? This is not a vendor. If it's not a client or a vendor, they don't need your work email, period. Number 14, another email inbox principle, which is known as inbox zero. My personal productivity exploded when I embraced this. This, I think, is the best productivity hack there is. It does require just a little bit of discipline, self-discipline, but I love it. Get to 0 unread emails once per day, and then do not open your inbox until the following day. Because when you leave your inbox open, when you leave social media open, you're asking for things to tell you what to do. You're asking for distractions. And so you have to not make the request for the distraction. You have to control the tool and not let the tools control you. Number 15, another amazing, I can't even believe I ever lived my life like this before. But notifications on your phone are default. Like when you download a new application, it automatically defaults to the assumption that you want to hear from it and that it has the right to ping you whenever the heck it wants. And so that can destroy your productivity, that can destroy and consume so much time because you won't even realize why you picked up your phone and why you started looking at it, but it's probably because you got a notification and then you decided to get into a habit of when you open your phone, then you open these apps, then you check your messages, then you check your Gmail, and then you're in this spiral, and now all of a sudden you're browsing TikTok or YouTube Shorts or social media in general, and before you know it, an hour goes by and you're like, what the heck happened? Where am I? And it started with a notification. Disable literally all of them, like no exception except for like maybe text messages, assuming it's just your friends and family and you may need an emergency text to come through. Number 16, okay? The curse of entrepreneurship is when you can do anything, what should you do? That is a very hard question to answer when you are on an island and you're by yourself. I, as a coach, believe you should invest in coaching, right? Like that should go without saying. But if you don't have someone, I don't care if it's a mentor, I don't care if it's an executive assistant that you really respect. If you don't have someone to say, this is what you need to be focusing on, or this is what you told yourself and promised yourself you would focus on, you don't really have accountability to anyone outside of yourself. And it's really important that you have some form of accountability outside of yourself, because they will keep you honest and they will help you to move faster than you otherwise would. Because the truth is it's easy to fall into bad habits. It's easy to fall into our routines, and their express purpose is to make sure that you just remain honest and accountable to your own promises. That's basically it. Number 17, okay? The best way to save time, the best way of all things, is to train your team. It is the single highest return of investment on time. This is how you go from doer to director, right? Like if you find yourself doing and doing and doing and doing and doing and doing, it's because you spend no or little time or not nearly enough time training people to do things for you. It's really as simple as that. Like the only way to avoid the stress of tax season is to become a master delegator and a master of persuasion. Persuasion is just getting other people to do things for you. Really, that's basically what persuasion means. And so helping your team to understand why it's important to do, what the opportunity is, why it's important to be here in your culture, what their long-term role may look like. These are all things that are part of persuading them to do what you would like them to do the way you want them to do it. And if you can't really answer any of the questions that I just asked or the things I proposed, that may have a lot to do with why you are still in the doer role as opposed to having elevated into the director role. You're neglecting the need to develop your persuasion skills and also the vision for your business and how people fit into it. Number 18, okay, one of the fastest ways to free up time is to look at your checklist and just say, this doesn't need to be done, right? Like, does this need to be done? So many times we're doing things that simply don't even need to be done. They don't even serve the vision of the company. But if I take that one step further, right? If I go one step beyond that and go, this thing that I have on my to-do list doesn't need to be done. This person doesn't even meet my dream client profile, and I hate every time I see their name on my calendar. There's a rule, okay? A rule I really like. If you wake up and think about a client 3 days in a row, they are automatically fired. If you wake up and you think about them 3 straight days in a row and you're not thinking positive things about them, I promise you, it is in your best interest and their best interest to say goodbye. That is one of the fastest ways to free up time, right? Because it's the mental energy of thinking about them when they don't even produce profits for your business, generally speaking, or they're taking away so much of your ability to be creative, to build efficiencies, to hire the team, to train the team, to create all the time savings, that it's not worth it. You just got to fire them. So whether this is the last tax season or simply hearing that, you're saying, you know what, it's been 10 days in a row, Tyler, I'm firing them as soon as I hop off this video, your choice, right? But regardless, make sure you do it. And so the last and final time saving tip I have for tax season, that's a tongue twister, is about setting priorities. And I find that a lot of people don't actually tackle the most important things first. They tackle what is most comfortable. They tackle what's familiar. And in a certain sense, it makes sense. But if you're really trying to make progress during your busiest time of year, you've got to understand what your priorities are. You have to be able to figure out which tasks are the most important and need to be completed first, which are the most time sensitive. And this will help you to stay on track and prevent you from being overwhelmed and ultimately learn to love tax season. Because I want to make tax season cool again, right? I think tax season has become so hated, and I think we can make it cool again. I genuinely believe that. So if you've enjoyed this particular video, I'd love a like, a comment down below. Don't forget to subscribe if you are not already to the channel. My name is Tyler S. Clark, and please remember that you are in full control over your time. How you choose to invest it ultimately determines where you end up in the future. And tax season does not need to be as stressful as it has to be. Extensions are your best friend, and follow the other 18+ tips provided to ultimately have an incredibly productive tax season. Thank you so much for investing your most precious resource with me. And remember that only you can create your dream firm, but we are here to help you every single step of the way. Have a fantastic rest of your workday and go crush those returns.